Every time I get a call about something like this, I say, I'm telling brother.
I know Aaron. He got one
I'd like to go ahead and call the order of the East Ascension Drainage meeting to order for the June 13th. Ms. Deborah, let it be known that Mr. Turner, Mr. Aaron Lawler, all else are present.
Ms. Castle, Madam, Mr. Chairman.
She's here.
Okay. Yeah, I seen him.
With that, Mr. Johnny, would you please lead us in the invocation followed by the pledge?
Bow our heads, please. Heavenly Father, please hear our prayer for the men, women, and children of Ascension Parish. We ask that you bless us and guide us in all our actions, and may your Holy Spirit be with us at all times. For we place our lives in your hands, always and forever, in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anyone wishing to speak on any agenda item, please sign in with the secretary. All right, we'll move into number 4, the acceptance of the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Ms. Terry, second by Mr. Bill. There's no chairman's report. Move on to number 6, the drainage report. Mr. Rue?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Sorry.
Only thing we're doing, we're gonna recap some financial information. And I'm not, unless you really want me to, I won't dwell on it too much. Basically, it's for you to look at, and we can get together at a later date and discuss it and go through it. But, first off, we got the, which I'm gonna try to do, which we have, the finance always, made a note during their financial reports of, you know, what drainage is doing, but, I guess every quarter, I'll give you a financial statement, saying exactly operations for us, you know, where we at, during the year. And if you notice here, this is from about a month or so ago, but, we at like, let me see, 30%, which is about on course. About a third of the year is gone, and we right at 33% of our budget expended. So we're pretty good about that. The, Fund 35 is our major construction fund. We only had 8% what we predicted to spend, but that has a reason for that. When the permits come in and we start doing more work, actual work on some of these projects, start spending the money on the construction of the, or installation number 7 pump, we're gonna be expending a lot of money real fast on some of these projects. So again, right now, we're still in engineering, permitting and stuff like this. But again, if we get to actual construction, hopefully we will by the end of the last quarter, that money will be expended real fast in big lump sums. The other page past that, I'm just recapping, this is something I gave to you before, in that little presentation a few months ago, but again, I'm giving it to you again. This is what we expect to spend this year, 2016 per, project, major construction project. And again, just for your information and for you to kind of go over. Again, the other pages was given to you before, but this is a recap of the revenues over the next 6 to 7 years. The lower page, which is the Gantt chart, again, this is just something for you to look at. This is how we track some of the stuff. And it gives you a breakdown of all the different aspects of each one of the projects. It gives you a little bit of information, I guess, visually about where we at on some of the projects. If you notice, almost all the projects, we actually behind. We should be a little bit further along. But again, this is something that we put together as a point for them to meet. In other words, this is something that I put together for the most part, saying, look, this is what we expect. So we keep pushing them to get their act together, to move forward with some of these projects, and to try to meet our demand. So we look at the end date, and we try to push them to meet that end date. So again, there's several pages there. And that's for, again, sit down, look at it, see some of your projects, and maybe get a better understanding. If you got any questions about it, I'll be glad to talk about it here, either here or at a later date. I'll meet with you on it. The last page, large page, is somewhat of an earned value of some of the projects. And that gives you an indication where we at for spending on some of these projects. And that earned value has to do with percent completion. So the algorithm or the formula that figures that has based on predicted completion time. But I give you a little bit of indication how much money we expended per project. Some of that is what we estimated, because some of the projects, actually, the larger projects are money coming from PLD to the engineering companies, and we don't have access to a lot of that information, so we base it on the total project costs that we look like we will be expending. And I'll give you, for instance, Law Rich Levy, 14 million, 14 million out of our pocket. And that is what's in here, and so it's an expended amount that we expect to spend throughout the year. So again, it's just for your information, for you to look over and maybe get a little bit of a better idea of how some of these projects are proceeding on some of that. I can tell you on one project, Law Ridge Levy, we are looking at, I'm sure everybody knows that about Astro Land and the possible mitigation bank. It looks like we will, hopefully, we can get enough credits out of the Astro Land project for us, the mitigation part of it, if we go according to what we plan to do out there, to satisfy our bottom land hardwood credits or Law Ridge Levy. I'm also working on another deal that I really don't want to go into right now, but it's a possibility that we can get all of our cypress credits satisfied for that levee project with another type of deal that we're working on. And that'll be something that it costs us nothing, and we can get those credits issued to the parish. So again, it's something I'm working on, and we'll talk about it at a later date once it looks like it's a better, something that we put on paper and bring back to the board. So that project is going good. We're still working on the permits. Still waiting on some comments back from the Corps, but they're going forward with the mitigation plan. Hopefully the mitigation plan for the Law Ridge Levy will be at the Corps in a couple of weeks, 3 weeks. And at that time, as soon as that happens, we looking at having a meeting, maybe with some council members, the parish president, and the colonel, the new colonel, when he gets there. Sit down and have a talk. But I'd like for that mitigation plan and our information from the permit be in place for when we meet, so they're not waiting on us for anything. So I'll be glad to answer any specific questions if you have any.
Mr. Goulart?
Yeah, Bill, why on your last sheet, if we want to get together within the next month or so and get with the PLD and, with their departments and actually get some numbers we can throw in here and show the people of Ascension Parish, let's get down what the PLD's put forward toward each one of these projects and what their commitments are.
Absolutely, I agree.
And that, that's easier said than done, but, I mean, the numbers are there, and I think they'll be willing to work with us on it.
Yeah, I agree, and as you know, Councilman, we have a memorandum of understanding somewhat with the PLD, but it's not really substantial, and this is something we talked about. I think we need to go a little bit further with a better document.
Next step, the final move.
And not only this, but some other projects, because they're still involved with the Alligator Bayou and the Bluff Swamp. They do have money left in their budget to pay the engineering, more engineering on Frog Bayou. And, so they're gonna be going and completing the design of Frog Bayou with their funds. So, you can help us out on that end too.
First, Bill, thank you for the report. You know, I do appreciate that. And it's a lot to go over. But, you know, one thing I do see, I'd like to know where the BFEs fit in on this levy certification. So which one of these tasks would be related to?
Yes, sir, and that would be under the levy certification, and it's all kind of built in together with the surveying and modeling H&H study under the HNTB.
So I see the H&H model, and they show that being completed May 27th.
Well, the H&H is partially completed. I mean, part of it is completed, but the actual model is still waiting on some surveying to be completed, and that put us behind on it and everything. But no, the BFE is kind of separate from the total of the H&H. The H&H that's recorded here has to do with the inside the protected side of the levee. And that's what they're working on, because that's our primary duty. The other part of the study has to do with BFEs, is waiting on the parish. And I was told it's supposed to have been done about a week or so ago, and it looks like it's gonna be another 2 weeks before we can get them our information. In hindsight, I wish we had subbed it out.
Was it too
And-
late to do that?
They only have, yes, it is. I mean, by the time we get everything together to sub it out, they'll be just about finished with, within days of finishing our portion of it. If we would have subbed it out, it would have been completed a good while ago.
Well, I'd like to, if it's possible, maybe get HNTB to give us a separate schedule for the BFE, so we can line that up. I mean, we
Yeah.
have to bring that to the council, get that reviewed, and
We
a
do
pretty
have
good process, and,
We do have a separate task to HNTB for that.
okay.
It is not on here, it's built in with all the other stuff. No, total, the total, work that they're, doing for Ascension Parish is built into this overall task. But I can separate it out and then just have the BFEs. The other thing that's part of is the, dredging of the silt of Panama Conway too. It's built into this. Because part of the model is gonna show us where that silt buildup is, and that's what we're using to go get a Corps permit. And it's all built into this, the money that's involved with this one contract. But I'll separate it out and be a little bit more, I guess, obvious what the BFEs is, where the BFEs are.
Yeah,
at this time.
thank you. And again, thank you for putting this all together.
Okay. And when the IT department really gets our system together, they're still working on it, but it's really gonna be a nice the Cartograph system is gonna be on our website. It's gonna have an app to get to it, and it's gonna have a lot of reports that you can generate from that Cartograph system that they're trying to write right now. And we'll have specific reports, everything from cost break, earned value, all the numbers gonna be there. And you'll be able to just click and get just about any report you need.
Now, is that gonna be something everyone can access?
Well, on some of it, we're gonna have to just sit down and determine how exact and how detailed you want the public to be able to, to look at some of the information. For the most part, it is, but I mean, nothing to hide. But it's gonna be, a lot of it's gonna be real detailed stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
Anyone else? If not, Bill, I wanted to go back on that. Thank you for setting up that meeting. About 3 weeks ago, we met with PLD, Volker, Amen River Basin folks, and we looking at the weir. You want to let them know what was the next step? We're letting
Well,
George Hudson look
yes.
at a few things? or
Yes,
what was
we're
going
looking
on?
at some alternates to the design of just going back with the rocks back in place, mainly because of subsidence. And we also found out that to be honest with you, it's not only subsidence there. All of South Louisiana, and especially Ascension Parish, or including Ascension Parish, is seeing a good bit of subsidence over the last 10, 15 years. One report I saw, said that over the last 50 years, they had as much as 1.5 foot to 2 feet subsidence in some areas of South Louisiana, including the bottom end of Ascension Parish. That's over the last 50 years. So there is significant subsidence in all of this area, and that is causing more than what people think, because you step out your yard and you say, I've been living here forever. I never seen water in my yard before. Now I got, water in my yard. Depending on where you live, a lot of that is, but your yard is not as high as it used to be, and which plays a big difference with the rising sea levels and everything else. That makes a big difference. 6 inches to 1 foot over the last, 30, 40 years makes a difference. So that's something people never think about. They think their land is steady, that it never changes, but it's not true. But I'm getting more information on that, and I'm hopefully I'll come with a report on exactly how much subsidence we're seeing around here and the effects of that. Okay.
Good.
That reminded me of one more question, like the benchmarks in the parish. From what I understand, there's some kind of rumor going around that we're gonna abandon the benchmark.
We actually have. We're not publishing the elevation of benchmarks, so they go online. Basically, what we're doing is we have our core stations that's constantly updated. And what we're saying, they can go into the core stations through a subscription, or they can get it through LSU. And most of the people around here, surveyors, actually go through a service like LSU. So really, those benchmarks get inadequate. They're not, with the GPS systems that they have now, they're really not used as much as you think. And because of the fact that subsidence and other issues, you got to redo it every so many years, 3 or 4 years, at about a tune of $150,000. It's just not worth it. And again, it's not being used as much as you think. Okay.
Anything else on the drainage report? Mr. Johnson, anything?
Good, thank you.
Now, we'll move on to number 7, authorization to renew annual contract. Mr. Rue?
Yes, sir. This is the contract with SDR Engineering. We're asking for authorization to renew the contract with East Central Drainage District and SDR Engineering for bridge repair. They're the one that does the fabric wrap of our bridge systems and saves the parish a lot of money.
Moved by Mr. Kluwat, second by Mr. Johnny. Any discussion or any objection? Not, motion passed. Number 8, authorization to execute the option to renew contract.
Yeah, this is authorization to execute the option to renew the contract between East Central Drainage District, John and Wynn Segura, for field dirt and access to the Law Rich Levy.
Motion.
Moved by Mr. Kluwat, second by Mr. Dawson. Discussion? Any opposition? Not, motion passed. And number 9, approval to enter into an agreement.
Yes, sir, this is the approval, requesting approval to enter into an agreement to offer and close on the purchase of HMGP 1792-005-0001, property number 3 at 14190, in the amount of $122,500, and authorize the parish president, Kenny Matachi, to execute any and all documents pertaining to this sale.
Motion.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Kluwat, second by Mr. Johnson. Discussion? Mr. John? No? Go ahead.
And Bill, this is no cost to the
No,
parish.
No
Let's
cost.
just make this clear.
It's a
Whenever we do,
pass-through.
We hadn't done one in a while.
right.
So.
It's a pass-through grant where we put up money, we execute it, and then reimbursed by FEMA.
Reimbursed by FEMA. Thank you, sir.
No opposition? Motion passed. Number 10, authorization to adopt resolution. I don't see Mr. Malcolm here. You want to go ahead and handle it, Bill?
Well, yes, sir, I can go ahead. Authorization to adopt a resolution to terminate Regions Bank as trustee for refunding bonds and appoint Whitney Bank as trustee of those said bonds. And again, this is bonds from the 60-some-odd million that we bonded with Drainage Board. They were the
original.
trustee.
2008.
Right, and we moved it to Whitney Bank. Whitney Bank been our fiscal agent for many years.
Moved by Mr. Dawson, second by Mr. Lambert. Discussion, or any opposition? Not. Motion passed. And number 11, accept the closeout and balance change order.
Yes, sir, this is a closeout and balance and change order to Cajun Constructors Incorporated for the completion of the Henderson Bay floodgate, finally.
Motion.
Moved by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Johnny. Discussion, any objection? Not, motion passed. Thank you for that. And that's, this is one of the projects that really worked out in our last flood event. All right.
And we're keeping our, just for a record, we're keeping our record going. We've come under budget on every project we've done so far, so.
That's correct.
Thank you. Moved by Mr. Johnny to adjourn, second by Mr. Johnson. We adjourn.